Coming up on Cards and Collectibles, gotta catch them all. This Pokémon collection will knock you out. The COVID card boom, a frenzy of skyrocketing card prices, but where does it all sit today? And how comic books can have super values. There's hidden treasures all over this country.
Vintage sports cards, they're almost like antiques.
Come on a journey with Cards and Collectibles, where collectors from across the continent showcase their treasures.
It's got to be seven figures, it's got to be $1 million plus.
Witness the passion, the money and the stories behind Australia's most coveted collectibles.
Back then they were laughing and now they call me a genius.
It wasn't that long ago that Pokémon cards were thought of as a fad or a hobby just for kids and nerds. But the industry has seen a seismic shift in recent years, and now you'll find Pokémon card collectors in all walks of life throwing their hats into the ring like heavyweight champions.
My father is Les Strellis. He won an IBF Super Featherweight World title back in 1985. My dad was a massive inspiration to me. Again. Good. I had my first amateur fight at 12 years old. I turned professional at 19 years old and done my first professional boxing event at 18 years old. We've done now well over 50 promotions. It's been a wild journey. What your average person visualises in their head when they think of the average Pokemon card collector is probably more of a nerdy, geeky type guy that probably still lives at home with his parents at 35 years old. And I can tell you from experience, people would just laugh at me. I remember there was one point of time my net worth was $12,000. I had a $2,000 Civic and $10,000 in Pokemon cards. And, you know, for the most part, people were just gobsmacked. First of all, because they didn't really understand that what I was seeing in it, which is the investment potential. Back then they were laughing and now they call me a genius, you know? So I'd like to think I'm somewhere in between, you know, a joke and a genius. I'd be happy with somewhere in between that. I'd say the better part of 15 years it's taken me to amass this collection. When I tell you it swept the country by storm, I am not exaggerating. You know, it was a true obsession. And now 15 years later, I have the biggest and most complete set in the whole country. So this is my PSA 10 sets. Right here we have the base set. Doesn't need much of an introduction really. It's the set that started it all. It's got the coveted first edition base PSA 10 Charizard. That is definitely the most recognisable trading card from the year 1999 and probably one of the most recognisable and desired cards of all time. There is 103 cards in the set. It was the first TCG or Pokemon cards in general we've seen here in Australia, and there would be less than 3 sets in the whole country. There is serious investment potential there. If you had been buying just Pokemon cards from 2019 to 2024 from your local game shop, just bought the box and put them away, it would have performed better than the S&P 500. I remember getting a call from my cousin one day, Azza. He goes, there's this company in California called Professional Sports Authenticators, aka PSA. Traditionally, they only grade sports cards. And he said, now they've just started grading Pokemon cards. And he went on to explain to me what that meant. And the fact that, you know, this company, it gives them a grade from, you know, 1 being poor, 10 being gem mint, which is close to perfect condition. Just went on to explain the investment upside. In that phone call when my cousin called me, at the time, a first edition base PSA 10 Charizard was worth 500 Australian dollars. It might as well have been $5 million to me at the time, you know, I didn't have $500. If I can work out something here where I can, you know, make it make sense financially, while also pursuing something I love, which is the journey of, you know, gotta catch them all, so to speak.
Whether you're looking for singles, boxes or card accessories, Sports Card World has had you covered for over 30 years. Come in and speak with their knowledgeable team about all things cards and collectibles.
When it comes to superheroes, one of the most well-recognised names has to be the Man of Steel, Superman. Whilst most people were introduced to Superman via modern movies and animation, Superman's true origin story didn't begin on the planet Krypton. Instead, it began in a comic titled Action Comics #1 in 1938. This comic book is considered the holy grail for collectors and always commands a premium when sold, with even single pages selling for tens of thousands of dollars. But in April 2024, one of the finest known examples of Action Comics #1, graded a CGC 8.5, sold for an eye-watering $9.14 million. For more record sales or to see the value of your collectibles, download the 130 Point app today.
Many of you at home might remember the 90s card craze from your childhood. And you might be surprised to hear that trading cards are bigger and more valuable than ever. So what better source to explain where the hobby is at today than the oldest card shop in Australia, Sports Card World.
Sports Card World opened in 1994. We sell a large range of AFL, NBA, NFL cards, as well as Pokémon, Magic the Gathering, Yu-Gi-Oh!, and then all your card accessories. A lot of people remember how many card shops were around in the early 90s and don't really realise that the hobby's a lot bigger than what it was back then. Some people just think of it as a piece of cardboard, but it's much more than that. People do not realise how much some of these cards are actually worth. Trading cards were big in the early 90s, and I guess over the last 20, 25 years, we've seen lots of ups and downs in the hobby. But when COVID hit, there was nothing like it, and the hobby absolutely boomed.
It's been called the biggest sports card craze in a generation. Prices for lots of cards tripling or quadrupling in value in the past 12 months.
People got into the hobby if they hadn't been into the hobby before, I guess because of box breaks and stuff. People watching on YouTube became popular, so it was stuff that you could do at home. I guess you couldn't get out and about. People that collected before, it reignited their passion for a hobby that they did maybe when they were younger. Someone like Drake was really into the hobby with the amount of followers and everything that he has, and he's pretty cool. So if Drake's collecting cards, it was a cool thing to do. Influencers like Gary Vee, Steve Aoki, Logan Paul is another one. So yeah, there's lots of guys like that people look up to and follow, and created a perfect storm there for the hobby. In the boom, those card prices for LeBron James rookie cards, some of the vintage Mickey Mantle baseball cards, prices really rise. For instance, the Michael Jordan rookie card, I can personally remember seeing it in 2018, a PSA 10 was $10,000. Fast forward, before COVID, that card was selling for $45,000. Fast forward another year in the peak of COVID, and that card sold for $840,000. The amount of people that get into the hobby and investing, and just the whole buzz of the hobby created that hype of these cards. That's what pushes these prices. More and more people get in, higher demand increases. Coming off the back of the high peak of COVID, the market was just way too crazy. The values of cards, how hard it was to buy boxes of cards and supply, it was ridiculous, and the prices were just overinflated. As the hobby and the world went back to normal, the hobby sort of normalized a little bit as well, and those prices started to come back down. But they're still way higher than where they were prior to COVID. So I guess the market's leveled out, but still collecting and pricing is still a lot higher than where it was, but yeah, it has fallen from that COVID peak. People that collected maybe, 10, 15 years ago, or even late 90s, if they didn't realise this boom, they would look back at their collection now and not realise that a card that they thought maybe was, $100 card could be worth $10,000 just because of how the market's pushed. I've seen it firsthand where guys have literally got out their old folder and gone, wow, I didn't realise that these cards are selling for so much, and their collections are worth, tens if not hundreds of thousands of dollars. If you're thinking about getting into the hobby, it's probably a perfect time, and some of the key cards are probably at that right price to really invest in. You definitely got to do your research, or go into your local card shop and ask questions, because there is a lot to get your head around, and it's good to get the right advice to find out how you want to collect, because there's so many different ways you can go about it.
After the break, some superhero comic books with superhuman values. And Jake shows us more of his impressive Pokémon collection. Which of the following Pokémon cards was the first secret rare in the official trading card game? A. Charizard, B. Shining Mewtwo, C. Dark Raichu, or D. Pikachu Illustrator? Find out after the break. Welcome back. Did you select the right answer? Let's find out. Many Australians see comic book collecting as an American hobby. But did you know that Australia and other countries produce their own unique variant editions of popular US comics? These localised versions often featured the work of local artists on the covers, and in some cases, they're even more valuable than the originals.
The reason I first started buying, was the story took you on a journey and gave you some escape. But at that point in time, I wanted to be an artist myself, and I used that as an excuse to be able to copy every cover that I could find. I tell my girlfriend I own about 10,000 comics, but I probably own about 20,000. From a graded perspective, I probably have around 600 graded comics. They say never meet your heroes, but if your hero is Kevin Eastman, you should meet him because he's absolutely incredible. I'm a lifelong Turtle fan. This is the first appearance of Turtles from 1984, but second print because the first print was only about 500 copies. I love finding a bargain. I don't like paying retail. So on a Saturday morning, we're going on a road trip to Bendigo, or we're going to Mildura or something because there's a comics on Marketplace or Facebook. So La Masa number 4 is one of my favorite foreign variants. This features the first appearance of Wolverine, but it also includes Hulk 180 and Hulk 181, which is the cameo as well as the first appearance, with the cover totally repainted by SP, which was a local Spanish artist. And in honor of the original, he kept the same composition, which is really, really good. Over the past 7 or 8 years, the foreign market's really been legitimized by the endorsement of grading companies. People find out, oh, this is actually worth something, and then everybody wants one. What happened during the whole Marvel cinema advent, some of those comics organically became to be worth more. And I was like, this is exciting. It's an industry I'd like to be in. And I set myself the target around 2015 that I want to own all the Marvel first appearances. It's almost incomprehensible to think that X-Men 1 was a $200-300 comic 20 years ago, and now it would reach $500,000-600,000 for issue 1 if it's a high grade. When it comes to modern grails, Miles Morales stands up head and shoulders above all. This is the 1 in 25 incentive cover signed by the entire creative team, as well as a little bit of a remark there. The grading has changed the game from a comic perspective, and as a result of that, the assurance that if I sell you a grade 9.8, you know it's a 9.8 because professionals told you it's a 9.8. It's not my opinion. Hulk 181 is my favorite comic in my collection from a Marvel perspective. What makes it perfect for me is it is the first appearance of Wolverine, who happens to be my favorite X-Men character. And it being an amazing cover by an amazing artist, it's just iconic. My Daredevil one is very special. I own the American one, but the Daredevil one that's actually close to my heart is an Australian print from 1965. According to the census and GPA, there's probably 10 in the world. I know of about probably 20, 25 that's floating around in Australia, but I'm sure there's more under people's beds or in their sheds or somewhere that remains undiscovered. I'd love to be able to explain why 99.9% of the comics are worthless, especially to people on Facebook Marketplace, because everybody thinks they're sitting on a $1,000 comic, right? Think about the fact that every month about 400 to 450 new comics are released through distributors. Go back 80 years and you'll see that it's basically like a pyramid or a spear with a very sharp tip. The top tier ones are really worth a lot of money, in the millions, and as you go down the spear, it goes lower and lower. Amazing Fantasy 15 was the last issue of what was a mystery horror series, and because they were cancelling it, Stan Lee convinced Marvel to create a new character called Spider-Man and pop him in there. It won't hurt anybody because the series is cancelled anyway. It was a massive success, and that was followed by Spider-Man #1 4 months later. In the collecting circles, there's a very common saying, better low grade than no grade, and it is 100% true. For me, that 0.5 represents a well-loved comic. It's been read, it's been passed around by friends before I even existed, and a lot of people enjoyed it. For me, that 0.5 represents the actual story of why comics are important, more so than an investment grade of a 9.8. The big difference though is it's a $20,000 comic versus a $2 million comic. So budgetary perspective, I also like it.
Who remembers the Atari 2600? The Atari 2600, released in 1977, revolutionised home gaming. This legendary console brought classics like Pac-Man, Space Invaders and Pitfall into living rooms worldwide. By the early 80s, it was the must-have system, selling millions and defining an era. Though the video game crash of 1983 slowed it down, the 2600 remains a true gaming icon. I remember unboxing this bad boy on Christmas Day and then playing my favourite games, Pitfall and River Raid. Head to our socials and tell us what you remember about the Atari 2600.
Earlier, we heard from Jake about his journey into the world of Pokémon. Now, with the explosion of card grading in the last decade, he isn't satisfied with just one PSA 10 card. Instead, he's put together one of the most impressive collections on Earth.
If I could put it in one word, when I hold a Pokémon card, the word would be nostalgia. I grab it, I get such nostalgic feelings and warm, soulful feelings, to be honest. A couple of the other notable sets I have. Here we see the Jungle set, which was the second release of Pokémon. I believe it was 64 cards in this set. Again, a stack of rookie cards within the set. In 2016, cards that were worth $400, $500 started shooting to tens of thousands of dollars. And the first boom really hit everyone by surprise. Fast forward another 4 years, 2020, Logan Paul took a liking to Pokemon cards and he shed so much light to the hobby. And then everyone started appreciating it. Moving on to Fossil set, where again, only 62 cards in this set, so quite small sets. But that basically wraps up the whole 1999 all in PSA 10. So in the year 2000, Pokemon decided to come out with the Team Rocket set, where the theme was the dark, basically evil villain Pokemon. It was the first time we ever seen anything to do with really anything outside the Pokemon. Team Rocket are actually the villain in the TV show. So in the year 2000, Pokemon thought, you know what, we'll go back to the base set and Jungle set, the two sets that everyone knew and loved, and we'll do a reprint of them. So they've done a massive set of 130 cards, which is bigger than the Fossil and Jungle set combined, and basically used artworks from the Jungle and base set. This set is notorious for being super hard to grade. Like this card here, for example, the Wigglytuff, there's only 7 in the world. So that makes this set one of only a handful that could have possibly be complete in the PSA 10 examples. These were a set of 54 cards ranging from the year 1999 all the way up to 2002. It's a 54 card set. Unique sort of one-off artworks that we didn't see in the sets, and a set that's extremely hard to put together. I only know of one other person in the world that has this set. I'd never seen the collection together. This was the first time in my life that I'd seen them. You know, I think the last time I'd seen them, there was only 2 sets, and now we're up to, you know, close to 10 sets. My dad would always tell me that, you know, if there was no passion, there's no point. And if you are going to do something, it doesn't matter that other people might have different opinions to you. You know, having dad as an example, you know, a kid from a commission flat, at 12 years old, started boxing. At 19 years old, won a world title and was getting paid, you know, in houses per fight. You know, and again, a lot of people would have just laughed at him and said, oh, you want to do boxing? Oh, you're going to be Australia's 10th world champion, are you? A lot of people don't know, but you can actually get the packs themselves graded as well. So these base set packs are actually very unique, and they could potentially have a PSA 10 first edition base Zard. To me, I think the set wouldn't be complete unless you've got the packs in PSA 10 to go with them. I'd love to have some type of museum. I know it probably sounds crazy talking about something that's only 25 years old, but I truly think that they're some of the most recognisable artworks in the world, and I think art, traditionally as we know it, has changed. As soon as you start explaining the value of them, it's very hard not to take serious. Even if you don't understand it or whatnot, when you're hearing tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, all the way up to millions, it's very hard not to take that serious, you know?